Are you looking for the best lenses for Panasonic GH4? In this video we will look at some of the 5 best lenses for Panasonic GH4 on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description, so make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Number 1. Panasonic Lumix G25mm f1.7 ASPH H025K. The H025K is one of the best and most purchased micro four thirds lenses on the market, due to the fact that this lens combines an attractive and solid construction, very strong performance and an exceptionally affordable price that will not only affect your budget a lot but at the same time, its performance can easily compete with most of the lenses that are set on the mid-range. Design-wise, this model has a very lightweight and compact construction that consists of 9 elements divided into 7 groups, along with a single ultra-high refractive index lens element and 2 aspherical elements. Additionally, the manufacturer has included their well-known nano surface coating with the intention to put an end on the occurrences of ghosting and flare, and also, there's a diaphragm with up to 7 rounded aperture blades that will guarantee you convenient and high-quality shooting. Thanks to its design, this lens will not offer you a strong performance, but at the same time, this will allow you have an easy fitting in the palm of your hand so that you can shoot conveniently without feeling fatigued at all. Great job, Panasonic! When it comes to the features and performance, the H025K offers a diagonal angle of view of up to 47 degrees, outputs a very quick and nearly silent focusing, and the best part, it produces sharp images at f/1.7, which by default means that most of the time you will be satisfied by the performance. But, what also got my attention is that those who've been shooting with this lens claim that the image was looking sharp even at f/11 and f/22, whereas, surprisingly, at f/22 images were still decently sharp. Another great thing about this unit is that aside from shooting sharp imagery, you'd also be able to shoot quality videos thanks to its fast action stepping motor focusing, and honestly, for the price you pay, I think that you simply can't ask for more. This lens combined with your GH4 is the real way to go. The only thing that lacks, in my opinion, is that there is no optical image stabilization on board, but I'm not surprised at all since I don't know many lenses as capable as this one that has this feature. Either way, I think that you won't be disappointed. Finally, users have reported to me that they didn't notice any significant distortion nor a chromatic aberration, because this lens does a highly effective job in controlling the chromatic aberration. To summarize, I definitely recommend you consider the H025K as your next purchase, because it is extremely affordable and performs good enough to satisfy even the most demanding photographers out there. Number 2. Panasonic Lumix G-Leica DG SUMMILUX lens 25mm f1.4 ASPH HX025. The HX025 was announced in 2011 as a standard lens for micro four thirds cameras, and what's interesting about this lens is that Leica has designed the optics, whereas Panasonic did the manufacturing. Hence, considering the fact that this lens is made by such popular manufacturers, it didn't take long before the HX025 conquered the market, and that's why, even today, it is still among the best lens that you can encounter on the market. To begin with, this particular model sports an attractive and compact body that is mostly made of metal, even though there are some plastic parts. In fact, it looks like those old-school Minolta lenses. Also, the optical design is composed of 2 aspherical lenses, 1 ultra-high refractive index lens, and 9 elements arranged in 7 groups, plus a nano coating that does a highly effective job in reducing the flare. Speaking of the autofocusing, this lens is relatively fast to lock onto a specific subject. Some users have reported me that this is about half a second, and what's even more interesting is that most of the people are using this lens for portrait photos, especially for capturing little kids or babies who are known for being hyperactive. However, please keep in mind that if you get very close on a target, your photos will suffer a bit from distortion, but in general, this lens is excellent for shooting portrait photography. Moving on, you mustn't shoot just portrait photography, since this lens will get you the best possible results when shooting indoors, outdoors, or at low-light situations, since Leica optics are known for transforming the ordinary scenes into images of professional quality. Before we end, I'd like to mention yet one more thing, and that's regarding the bokeh at wide aperture settings. Those who've been shooting with this lens say that the bokeh is indeed smooth and attractive, and honestly, this part is very interesting. Why? The reason is very simple, though. If we put into consideration that this lens is kind of limited in terms of providing quality performance at close focusing range, still, the bokeh remains solid, which is awesome. Overall, if you're looking for a fast lens that will offer you high performance throughout a wide aperture range, while making your images as distortion-free as possible, then the HX025 would be the lens of your dreams. Number 3. Panasonic Lumix G714mm f4.0 ASPH HF007014. The Panasonic Lumix G714mm f4.0 ASPH HF007014, or simply, the HF007014, is a quality and highly versatile wide zoom lens that can dramatically improve your shooting experience, especially if you love shooting landscape photography, nature, or architectural objects. From a design perspective, this lens packs 16 elements in 12 groups with 2 aspherical lenses and 4 ED lenses on one hand, while on the other, houses a reliable metal mount and uses multi-coated lens elements with the intention to offer a greater control over the flare and ghosting, so that you can always get the most optimal and desired results. Moreover, all of these components make this unit be indeed unique, because the manufacturer was focused on bringing you the best possible results in terms of color accuracy and clarity. But let's not also forget the fact that its autofocus motor is specifically designed to support your camera's contrast detection and allow you to have a precise focusing performance. In terms of the performance, one of the best things about this lens is the inclusion of the built-in pedal-shaped lens hood shields that can effectively reduce flare in case you're outdoors shooting under bright daylight. I'd also like to mention that the lens focal length ranges from 7 to 14 mm, whereas its maximum aperture is f/4, and I have to admit that although the 7 to 14 mm can be considered as small, still, this lens is more than nicely spec'd in practice. Its constant f/4 maximum aperture will ensure that you can expect nothing less than a consistent performance and illumination throughout the zoom range, whereas the ultra-wide zoom for your camera will have an equivalent focal length range of 14 to 28 mm. Moving on, I would also like to mention that distortion is virtually non-existent with this lens. In fact, if you notice a pinch of distortion, you can correct it by using a software, so that the overall color accuracy and sharpness of your images will remain excellent. But, let's be clear. Nothing is perfect in this world, nor this lens itself. There are a few things that can be considered as a remark, including the fact that this model does not accept filters, the presence of lateral chromatic aberration if you opt to use the widest settings, and of course, its price tag, which should have been a bit more affordable. Since this lens is great for traveling, I suggest you also take a look at our best cameras for architecture photography and grab a camera that goes well with this lens. To conclude, if we compare the pros and the cons, I can easily say that the pros simply overcome the cons, and even though this may not be the widest angle zoom lens, still, its build quality and image quality is exceptionally good, which by default makes this lens be a strong candidate to be paired with your Panasonic GH4. Number 4. Olympus M.Zuiko Digital ED 75mm f1.8. The Olympus M.Zuiko Digital ED 75mm f1.8 can be defined as a high-grade, fast telephoto lens that are ideal for shooting indoors, sports, portrait photography, and it is even suitable for studio and stage purposes. You may likely notice this name popping up numerous times on the internet. Well, if you did, then there's something special about this lens, right? So, let's find out what. Aesthetically speaking, this model is available in 2 color editions, including the silver, which I'm currently reviewing, and the black. However, do not hesitate to switch if you prefer a different color finish, since both lenses share the same performance, and color is the only thing that makes them different. This particular model has an all-metal construction that holds an enormous front element, and if you take a closer look at this lens, you will notice that it is wider than most of the micro four thirds lenses that are available on the market. Even though the lens is wide, still, its weight may not cause you discomfort even if you've been shooting for a prolonged period, and honestly, I really like its build quality. In addition, this unit is comprised of 10 elements divided into 9 groups, has a 9-0 blade circular aperture unit, and for now, I'm really satisfied with the build quality and the components included in this lens. So, I'd suggest taking a bit regarding the performance. The Olympus M.Zuiko Digital ED 75mm f1.8 has been greatly praised because of its ability to ensure a higher level of sharpness to each photo you make and set an end to any kind of distortion that may be present throughout your shooting sessions. Also, given its f.18 maximum aperture, this by default means that you will have more than a great control over the depth of field on one side, whereas, on the other, you'd be able to blur away any kind of distraction that may appear on the background as you're shooting portrait photography. Sounds nice? Of course, it does. As I've mentioned previously, aside from shooting portrait photography, you will never face issues in case you shoot sports photography, since this is a 150mm equivalent lens that can help you achieve excellent results in numerous circumstances. In the end, I'd like to inform you that the colors are unrealistically rich, and you will instantly recognize this throughout your shooting sessions because your photos will look lifelike and will grab your attention from the moment you see them. Overall, the Olympus M.Zuiko Digital ED 75mm f1.8 lens is worthy of considering, because it justifies its price with its performance, and offers an even greater value for its cost, so give it a try and assure yourself of its potential. Number 5. Olympus M.Zuiko Digital ED 300mm f4.0 Pro. The Olympus M.Zuiko Digital ED 300mm f4.0 Pro would be a top-notch option for you, especially if you're keen on investing in a premium telephoto lens that will help you achieve exceptionally good results when shooting telemacro photography. Speaking of the design, this lens features a small and lightweight body that is very solidly built. As a matter of fact, it employs a weatherproof design which makes it not only an ideal portable option but also an ideal companion that will help you shoot quality photos under a variety of different weather conditions. If you've asked yourself, why? Well, because splash, dust and freezing temperatures will never interfere with the absolute gold of a performance it delivers. But, since nobody wants to deal with ghosting and flare, the manufacturer has incorporated a so-called Z-coating nano which will help contribute a lot in terms of helping you shoot artifact-free images that will have an excellent amount of contrast and extremely accurate colors. Another great thing about this lens is the presence of a manual focus clutch that comes handy, especially if you want to switch from auto and manual focus, as well as its customizable lens function of which you can take advantage and control your camera functions from the lens barrel itself. If all of these things related to the design were catchy, then let's take a look at its performance, because you will be more than happy to own such a quality lens. Namely, this model has an amazing image stabilization, which at the time of its release, was named as one of the most powerful 6 steps of compensation synchronized in-lens and in-body stabilization which will always be there for you to allow you get the maximum of every scene. Now, what about the sharpness? The sharpness isn't different at all, because throughout its entire frame, and even at f/16-4 f/22 you won't be disappointed by the results. When it comes to the chromatic aberration and distortion, users have reported me that they've noticed just a minimal presence of chromatic aberration, whereas, for the distortion part, it is technically non-existent on this lens. Last but not least, its minimum focusing distance of 4.5 feet and its maximum magnification of 0.48 makes this lens superb for shooting in close quarters, because you will never have difficulty shooting macros, and honestly when we combine all these things into one, I think that the manufacturer did an extraordinarily good job. In conclusion, the Olympus M.Zuiko Digital ED 300mm f4.0 Pro is a must-have lens, because of its versatility, build quality, and its performance, and if you ever decide to purchase it, you will never regret that decision.